All the Candyman movies ranked, worst to best. Tony Todd played iconic horror villain Candyman in 3 films before a spiritual sequel arrived in 2021. While having a compelling villain can be important to just about any film, in horror, sometimes the villains themselves become the cornerstone on which a franchise is built. However, there's one thing most popular horror villains have in common. They're white. There really aren't too many prominent horror villains of color out there, and even fewer who manage to spawn a franchise. While the current trend toward more diversity and inclusion in Hollywood films hopefully bodes well for creating more horror boogeymen and women of color, at the top of the current list is Candyman, originally played by the tall, deep-voiced Tony Todd. Candyman being black isn't just incidental to the character either, as racism and America's dark past with slavery play key parts in Candyman's origin story. That was further explained in the reboot by Jordan Peele, who ensured the social commentary remained. Candyman, Day of the Dead, 1999. Candyman, Day of the Dead is easily the worst movie in the series, and a lot of that can be laid at the feet of underwhelming protagonist Caroline McKeever, Donna D'Errico. Caroline is the daughter of Annie Tarrant, the schoolteacher from the second film who named her daughter after Daniel's, Candyman, former lover. While the film arrived 4 years after the second, 25 years passed in that film's universe, and Caroline is now an adult who summons Candyman and the killing starts up once again. There are several problems with this movie, especially considering that Candyman killed Annie in between the two, despite her showing respect for him and the tragedy that caused his tormented existence to start. The film also tries to end the Candyman mythos by Caroline explaining away all his murders and framing another person, which is an interesting way to end the franchise. However, it died off anyway thanks to the movie's lackluster reviews as it slipped to DTV status. Candyman's first sequel was a worthy follow-up to the beloved first film in the franchise. Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh depicts the Candyman's origin story visually in harrowing fashion, and sees the living urban legend stalking his distant descendant Annie Tarrant, Kelly Rowan, in New Orleans. Annie is a teacher, and when her students keep talking about the urban legend, she speaks his name into a mirror to prove it isn't true, only to unleash the horrors on her community as a result. While not in the league of the classic original film, Farewell to the Flesh should still satisfy fans looking to see more of Todd's Candyman in action, and features lots of gory kills and tense scare sequences. When it comes to visceral horror movies, this one actually goes further with the gore, but the intensity and tension of the original movie were still greater, making it a horror classic, and this one is simply a decent follow-up movie. In 2021, Jordan Peele produced a direct sequel to the very first Candyman movie, while mostly ignoring the second and third films in the franchise. The first film ended with Helen Lyle sacrificing herself in a fire to save a child named Anthony, keeping the boy from Candyman's grasp. In this film, Anthony is now grown up and lives in Chicago, where he learns about the Candyman legend, and soon begins to become obsessed with the stories and his possible connection to the legend in his town. The film goes a long way to connect the social commentary from the original. An innocent black man is murdered by racists from the South, by showing the violence and distrust against black men in today's society. Yahya Abdul-Mateen Aquaman is great as the future Candyman, and the film was both a box office and critical success, deepening the mythology, showing the social issues that remain the backbone of the story, and delivering some of the best scares of the entire series.